Who is the true villain in MLP? Is it perchance Tyrek? I mean, he's pretty bad. Maybe Sombra. I mean, he was really bad. Chrysalis? Cozy Glow? Lightning Duck? What if I told you that none of these were true? Because for there to be a true villain, they'd have to be overarching and not just like a one-time villain, right? Like most of the MLP villains. They show up for like an episode, then go away. Except for like season 9 where that kind of changed. But anyway, they need to be some kind of puppeteer behind the strings. They need to be infecting the main cast, pulling the strings. They have to be evil, powerful, very powerful, big and powerful. Not Trixie though, not great and powerful. Although I think we'd all like to see Trixie as the true MLP villain, she's unfortunately not. There is somebody who fits the bill better than Trixie. She's more evil than Trixie, than Cozy Glow, than Sombra, and more evil than the rest of the critters. Someone that's been pulling the strings since season 1, episode 1. And no, it's not Nightmare Moon. What if I told you that the true villain in MLP is none other than... Get closer. No, closer. No, a little bit more. What if I told you that the true villain of MLP is none other than the worst princess? Princess Celestia. But I mean, wait a minute. Princess Celestia is like the de facto good guy, right? I mean, she's the princess for a reason. How could she be the master villain in all of MLP? The entire country loves their princess. And I'm asking them to turn their backs on her? Preposterous! But don't worry, I've got proof, I've got evidence, I've got the receipts to back up this claim. Celestia isn't just the bad guy for the sake of being a bad guy. She's a master manipulator. She has everybody under her hoof and tells them exactly what they want to hear. Except, of course, when her manipulation backfires. One thing that's really annoying me is that there's like some sticky residue on the armrest, so hold on. Arby's napkins. There we go, that's a little bit better, huh? Wow, it's almost like it's brand new or something. Also, I am recording this video very late at night. It's like currently, it's 8:40 right now, and the sun is going down. So by the end of this recording session, the sun might be dark outside. So we'll see. We just gotta be quicker than the sun. Fucking Celestia, keep that bitch up. Now, I do want to say that I am not, by a long shot, the first person to come up with this idea that Celestia is the evil one. There have been many people before me that have said it, but the difference between them and me is that I'm not looking up their arguments. I'm going completely off my own base instincts and my own evidence. I am coming to my own independent conclusions. So how is Celestia a manipulator? Well, let's start very simple by the main character of the series, Twilight Sparkle. She is by far one of the easiest cases to make for Celestia being very manipulative. Celestia would routinely send Twilight on what I would call extremely dangerous missions for absolutely no reason. Like, was there any reason why Celestia sent Twilight on to go fight a fucking dragon? A dragon? She was just a unicorn back then. Celestia also sent Twilight to go deal with freaking Sombra, the god of darkness, basically. And she really didn't even help defeat Discord in the slightest. Other than what? Sending her friendship letters, which is apparently what the entire plot hinges on for some reason. Anyway, now you could argue that Celestia is doing all these things to prepare Twilight for becoming an alicorn, which is the lore accurate reason, because in season 3, that is what Celestia is doing. Which is fair enough, but honestly, the counterpoint to that argument is, why didn't Celestia ask Twilight if she wanted to become an alicorn? Celestia literally dumps immortality on Twilight. That's not right. Celestia never gave Twilight the option to say no or yes, and even then there was never a chance for Twilight to shake or nod her head. I mean, you can also make the argument that alicorns aren't really immortal, they just live a long time. But still, I mean, that doesn't really change the fact that Celestia, without Twilight's permission, completely changed Twilight's anatomy without any permission. Even if Twilight was eventually okay with it after the fact, which she was, to be fair, Celestia couldn't have known that. I mean, she could probably have a very strong suspicion that Twilight would be okay with it, but she wouldn't know that for 100% guarantee. Because what would happen if Twilight did just end up saying, "Turn me back, I don't want to be an alicorn"? What would you do then? You just turned her into an immortal god. Like, once again, without her permission. And I guess you could still even then make the argument that it was actually Twilight who did it by finishing the spell. The spell that Celestia provided and said to finish. It's still manipulative no matter which way you look at it. It would be like if the president gave you a puzzle to solve and said to solve it, but when you end up solving the puzzle, it's actually the anesthesia line that goes right into your veins, and solving the puzzle knocks you out, and then the president puts you into surgery and gives you frickin' steroids. I don't know. Like, yeah, although you were the one to do the anesthesia, you still didn't give your permission to get knocked the hell out. You still didn't give your permission to become a super athlete. Anyways, there's a lot more stuff I can go on about Twilight and Celestia's relationship. Like, for instance, how manipulative Celestia was at the very beginning of Season 1, Episode 1. Or how Celestia only purposely gave Twilight 2 tickets while knowing she had 6 friends. Things of that nature. Things that just kind of rub you wrong when you sit back and think about it. But how do we know that Celestia is actively putting Twilight into these dangerous positions on purpose? Maybe Celestia just doesn't know. Well, we do know, because in the comics, Celestia just straight up admits that she does to Spike. Celestia's reasoning for this is that putting her students into precarious situations is just the way she teaches. Celestia self-admittedly says that a lot of the threats Twilight faces she could have very, very easily dealt with herself, but she decided not to because she wanted to test Twilight, or at least make Twilight learn. Which, honestly, that sounds fine and dandy on the surface. That is a legitimate way of teaching students how to do things in the real world. Throw them out into the real world and let them figure it out by themselves. That's a real, valid, genuine way of teaching it. It makes sense. And even maybe giving Twilight 2 tickets for the Grand Galloping Gala was a Celestia teaching moment, which I think it is. But the problem with her teaching method is that it should never extend to life or death situations. That means that King Sombra could have probably very easily been defeated by Celestia, but she decided not to and let Twilight do it. Even in the beginning of the episode, they're literally, her and Luna are discussing how they're teaching Twilight via this method. But that still means that Celestia was willingly putting one of her students in a life or death situation to teach. Take, for instance, the Canterlot wedding with Chrysalis. Now, I know that in the episode, it appears as if Celestia was knocked unconscious by Chrysalis. But just, I mean, fucking wake up, get real. There is no way Celestia was bested by a bug. By a bug who has the love power of a normal-ass unicorn. Hello, wake up, get real. She's just acting. There's no way. So if she was acting here, that still means that Celestia was putting Twilight into, once again, a very precarious life or death situation for no fucking reason. She put her entire capital city of Canterlot on the line, plus the lives of thousands of ponies, for no reason other than to teach. Now, maybe you could argue that Celestia was actually knocked unconscious here, which is fair. That's the way it was played out in the episode, and there's really nothing other than just, you know, Celestia being a goddamn alicorn to disprove that. But once again, what about Twilight fighting Discord? Celestia literally just took her hands off the wheel and went, "Oh, I suppose, have fun, guys. Be back at 6. And once again, Sombra is another example. I know I just mentioned Sombra, but I'll mention it again. Because Celestia outright says that Sombra was a test for Twilight. She went to go fight Sombra, Lord King of Darkness. Now, Celestia does reassure Twilight in the episode that there was no way she could fail, and Celestia was 100% confident that Twilight would not fail. But what if she did? What if Celestia willingly sent Twilight into a very dangerous situation, and Twilight died, for instance? Like, what would you tell her family? "Oh, I am so sorry, Twilight's friends and family. I was simply trying to test Twilight to see if she had what it takes to become an alicorn. She unfortunately died." I don't think it should be a controversial thing to say that you should not send your students to the front lines of war to teach them. Just saying. Alright, it's getting pretty dark in here, so I'm going to turn on the lights by pushing open the door with my foot. It's going to get very cold in here. Anyways, this next part is about Celestia being a master manipulator to none other than Sunset Shimmer. If you watched my last video, I'm basically going to go over the exact same thing I did in that video, so you can just go ahead and skip this part if you really want to. It's not that big of a deal. I won't judge if you skip it. But if you've already watched my last video, you've already watched this part. So anyway, in the comic, The Fall of Sunset, it goes into great detail exactly what happened between Sunset and Celestia that made Sunset run away. And you'll be very delighted to know for this video that Sunset ran away because Celestia was a prick. Celestia repeatedly lied, gaslit, and manipulated Sunset for the entire time she was a student. Each and every time she tried to manipulate Sunset, it would backfire in some way, and it eventually led to Sunset leaving Equestria and going to the human world, and that's where Equestria Girls picks up. If you want more information about the story, go to my previous video, The Fall of Sunset Shimmer, the tragic backstory of Sunset Shimmer. But I will recap it here very quickly. Sunset was a bit of a prick, and in a desperate last attempt to reform Sunset and being a nice person, Celestia showed Sunset a mirror, and this mirror would show alternate realities, with the intention that it would show a reality where Sunset was sad and alone and would snap Sunset into being nice. Unfortunately, it backfired, and the mirror, instead of showing her that reality, showed her a reality where she was a alicorn ruler of Equestria. When Sunset was very obviously asking questions about what the hell she just saw, Celestia instead just manipulated and lied and gaslit Sunset into believing that she wasn't seeing anything, which, once again, like I said, backfired horrifically. It led Sunset into researching the mirror by herself. Celestia discovered Sunset there and immediately, on the spot, removed Sunset from being in her position of student, with potentially maybe the idea that Sunset was going to come crawling back to Celestia. If that was the idea, it backfired because Sunset immediately ran away. So while writing my last video, that's where the idea for this video came from. It goes into greater detail how exactly messed up Celestia is. But the common defense that I see for Celestia is that she does care. She's a nice pony, but she's also ruthless. After all, she is a ruler of a country, and she wants to defend her kingdom in any way possible. And if that means breaking a few eggs to make an omelet, she's gonna do it. She would willingly put ponies into uncomfortable positions if she knew that Equestria would be safe with them. And Sunset was just a massive, colossal fuck-up on Celestia's part. Which, honestly, when you put it that way, it is fair. Fair-ish. Fair enough. But it still doesn't really excuse the way she treated Princess Cadance. This is yet again something I've already covered in another previous video of mine. Once again, I will cover it here because Celestia is an absolute villain here. She is villainous to Cadance, and is an absolute wonder how Cadance hasn't snapped yet. Cadance grew up in a remote, small Earth Pony village, but in a split-second decision, Celestia decided to basically just straight up outright kidnap Cadance. Celestia knew Cadance had something to do with the Crystal Empire, and that's why she wanted Cadance come back to Canterlot with her. But she never told Cadance that at all, and left her in the dark for presumably a very long time, until she eventually actually did turn into an alicorn. Celestia never explained why Cadance was special to her, and literally, once again, kidnapped Cadance. One of the very few things that Celestia allowed Cadance to do while she was in Canterlot was being a preschool teacher. I don't think Cadance was actually a preschool teacher. I think in the comic they say that Cadance was just allowed to hang out with preschoolers, but still, a preschool teacher. It was one of the only things Cadance actually enjoyed doing. But for seemingly no reason, when Cadance became an alicorn, Celestia just outright banned Cadance from interacting with the preschoolers. Why? No idea why. Like, the only explanation is that Celestia is just a villain. She's villainous. And it's also incredibly hypocritical of Celestia to do that, because Celestia canonically does the exact same thing. She is canonically a magical kindergarten teacher, and like, throughout FIM, it really seems like Celestia will consistently do very morally gray things, lying to certain ponies. Like, yes, she is a ruler protecting her country, and sometimes you gotta be a little strict, but like, did you really need to forbid Cadance from being a preschool teacher? Did you really need to do that? Did you really need to gaslight Sunset for weeks on end instead of just explaining what the mirror did? Was that absolutely necessary? Did you really need to abandon Twilight at the Canterlot wedding? I am still salty about the way Twilight was treated in the episode, by the way. Still extremely salty. Anyway, it's getting very dark outside. This is the least lighting I've ever recorded a video in. If you want to support this Cadillac, please be sure to join YouTube memberships. They are open. But if you're going to do anything, make sure to subscribe. Remember, kids, always intolerance, and I will see you guys later. Oh, and one more thing. For you hate watchers out there, yes, I do have spies in your Discord server. I see everything you say. I see all of the mean comments.
guys need to get a fucking life.
Anyways, goodbye.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal cannibal made impressions on me.